Every morning has a new beginning and a new blessing and a new hope. It's a perfect day because it is a God's gift. Wishing you all a blessed and cheerful morning to one and all gathered here. On behalf of the organizing committee, I take immense pleasure in cordially welcoming you all for this Ignite Students Mentorship Program on Career Option in Social Good Development Sector, presented by Annamalai University Alumni Association and Training and Placement Cell, Fiat, Annamalai University. Regarding our guest speaker, Sreenivas Narayan is an alumnus of 1992 batch of chemical engineering. He started his career after having been campus recruited from college to SIV Industries. As a management trainee, he spent 4 years in SIV and was exposed to various aspects of work in a large manufacturing setup. While working in SIV, he was selected on a partial scholarship to Asian Institute of Management for his MBA. He left for the Philippines in 1996 and has since been based there. As part of his MBA thesis, he established a consulting company, ECCI, and grew it into a business across 5 countries by mid 2000s. The company still exists with about 50 employees in a much more scaled down version. In 2003, he founded Assist, a non-profit, to pursue his passion. He has been able to focus on it since 2010 and has grown it to a 100 people outfit with social projects implemented in over 20 countries across Asia and Africa. Currently, apart from Assist and ECCI, he also publishes a media platform, Asian NGO, and Impact magazine to grow the social impact sector. Today, he is going to talk about the career opportunities in social good, which is also known as developing sector. This is a new age sector that is growing with rapid opportunities for those willing to make an impact in the society. So there we go. We are in the predominant phase of this lecture. Our guest speaker is all set to give his best career guidance. I hereby request my dear friends to make the fullest use of this hour, and in case of any doubt or queries, note them down till the question hour and open them up then. Over to Mr. Sreenivas Narayan to take up the session on. Please, sir.
Thank you very much, Kalish. Uh, Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be able to talk to many of the young people of our former alma mater, which is Annamalai University. As a student of Annamalai University, I benefited immensely from the life skills that I learned in the university, and I hope the same is the case with all of you. Um, Let me try and structure this presentation and help you, and we'll keep it as conversational as possible. I'll shift between English and Tamil. I'm more comfortable that way. But I'm not really sure if there are students here in the group who may not follow Tamil. So I'll just send out a message on chat if you cannot follow, and I'll make sure that I'll repeat what I'm saying in Tamil also in English if there is a need. Before I start, let me also thank my own batchmates and good friends and juniors like Gopi, who have worked tirelessly for putting this together. Now, when we went to school back in between 1988 and 1992, we did not have these opportunities where we could hear from alumni, or for that matter, from anybody else, because the technology, certainly other challenges, prevented us from these kinds of opportunities. But I must say that we were lucky to have the opportunities we were given. We worked and lived and spent the 4 years, and all the 4 years sort of happened to be one form of learning or the other. And many of that actually influenced our careers in the years to come. Uh, I would say that, I'm hoping that you will be going through very similar experiences, because these are some of the best times of your lives and you should make the most out of it. Yesterday, I was privileged enough to hear one of my own batchmates, a very, very silent but extremely accomplished gentleman, Mr. Kesavan engineer, speak to all of you. You would have heard the perspective of what it takes in order to get into the government, and not just into any aspect of the government, but particularly in the civil services represented by IAS, IPS, and such ilk. Um, Engineer was very articulate. I think he was able to spell out exactly the process that he went through. Okay. Now, my agenda would be to try and catch up with that presentation and also share with you, uh, as much as possible, the options that are ahead of you. What I tried to do was, rather than immediately jump into the social sector and confuse you, okay, I'm an expert in confusing people, so I will not try and do that right now. I'll try and do that after 15 minutes. But in the meantime, I'll try to explain to you, as you might be thinking in your minds also, okay, what are the options in front of you, okay, what do you need to look at? And then within these options, we will get into the specific option that I would like to talk about, which is the social sector. Now, interestingly enough, the social sector is not just about one particular career path. Coincidentally, it cuts across many other career paths as well. I will explain how that works so that you have an understanding how this could help you. Now, many of you are engineering and technology students. Obviously, all of you are engineering and technology students. I stand corrected. Um, and you might be wondering, why am I talking about the social sector? Science and certainly technology, goes with it, engineering, has a very important role in the development of humankind. If you look at our society over the last 200, 300 years, after the Industrial Revolution, every single thing that we have done, single thing that has moved humanity towards a better life has been enabled by the use of science, whether it was the locomotive, okay, whether it was the advent of cars, whether it was great mass production of food, uh, advances in healthcare. All of this has been possible because of science and technology. Now, you might think that you are just a small engineer in this bigger picture, but many of the founders of great businesses have created these businesses with the good intention of solving a society's problem. Now, the problem could be as simple as access to water, access to power, access to better education and affordable education, for example. So all these opportunities are driven by a need in the society. Sometimes the need is so dire that many people are suffering, and because lives become better for them, there is also a business opportunity as well as an opportunity for you to do good with your education. So the social sector, in my opinion, is a very broad sector. So when you finish this discussion, I hope I'm in a position to be able to convince you to at least take a look at this sector. Because by taking a look at this sector, you are not actually deviating from whatever you studied, but you now are in a better position to appreciate what you have studied as a chemical engineer, as an electronics engineer, as a civil engineer, as a mechanical engineer, or whichever course you might have taken, and see how you can make a change in the lives of not only yourself, your family, people around you, but society in general. And what is very interesting in this is that you can set your vision towards the entire world. Okay, you don't need to limit yourself only to wherever you are. Okay, I heard Bharat saying he's from Ulugurpet, and he's a chemical engineering student as well. You don't need to limit yourself to any one location because the world becomes your oyster. Okay? So that is the great thing about the social sector. So please do not think in order to be in the social sector, you need to have studied social sciences or social work or sociology. Not at all. In fact, the most successful people in the social sector tend to be technocrats, people like you and I and all our friends. Now, if you look at Mr. Mahendran, who's been organizing all of these things, in my opinion, I would consider him a key actor in the social sector. He has always kept the university and young people like you in his mind, and irrespective of his busy schedule, allocates time to make sure young people like you are ignited, inspired. So, first of all, again, I thank you. Thank my peers for this opportunity. I feel very proud, and I'll try my best to give you the bigger picture. I have a nasty habit of running out of time. So somebody, maybe Kalish, if you're the moderator, do jump in and tell me if I'm running late. Okay. All right. So this presentation itself, I would say, has got three major components. Component 1, 2, and 3. Okay. We'll look at life after college. Okay. Literally many of you. I suppose most of you are final year students. So, in a few weeks, months, you're all going to be out of college. We'll look at the options that are facing you. Sometimes because of peer pressure or pressure that you put on yourself, you are immediately tempted to do something immediately after college. It may happen, it may not happen. There's no rush. Okay. We have all evolved. Many of you are coming from reasonably comfortable backgrounds, reasonably families which are standing by you, supporting you. I'm sure they are going to help you, in shaping your decisions. No family would ever have wrong intentions for their children. They may make some wrong decisions once in a while, but they will never have wrong intentions for you, their children. So I'm sure they're going to be very, very supportive. And part of what you not only learn from today, but also from all the other classmates and batchmates of mine, is for you to be able to go and have a logical discussion with your own parents, friends, and family about some of the options you may want to consider going forward. Because this whole topic is about the social sector, I will talk to you about the social sector. I will show you how the future of skills, as defined by the World Economic Forum, okay, the future of skills, the 21st century skills, well, we are 20 years into it, but we will look at some of these skill sets and see how this sector is going to further help you fine-tune these skills. Okay, one of the biggest complaints that people from the tech sector always receive is that their soft skills, their communication skills, their interpersonal skills are not exactly the best. In that sense, I believe Annamalai University prepares you for that very, very well. Okay? So you have an advantage as such. Okay, but let's take a look at these 21st century skills and align it with how this can help you while you're in the social sector. Okay? Finally, if we do have time, I will little bit explain what we do. And when I speak about what we do, I represent what many people in the social sector do. And you could look at similar options right around you and explore these opportunities for yourself. Okay? So let's take a look at step number 1, which is life after college. Okay, now please don't mind if it seems very simplistic, okay? But I would like to go through this exercise with you because these are formative in the ways you need to start thinking moving forward, friends. Okay, so I'm going to spend some time here to talk about some of the options you have, okay? And let's be clear, this is not the kind of stage of your life. There's so much more you need to do. And you can take your time to explore. Okay, so just let's look at it. Okay, you have these options. Okay, you can study further. Okay, great option. Okay, you could start a business or join a business, particularly for many of you who might be coming from family business. As much as your family itself may say, hey, on this, you don't have to suffer like what we are suffering. I would say there's nothing great than going and joining a business and helping it scale, helping it get organized because of your educational inputs. Okay, you could start a business and you could learn a lot more from life experiences from your parents, from your siblings. So you could join the family business. Okay, or maybe you could study further, still go and join the business or start a business, or just decide, let me take a break. Let me take a break for 6 months. Things are not as rosy thanks to COVID. Okay, let me take a break. 4 வருஷம் ஃபுல்லா பயங்கரமா படிச்சேன். என்ன மாதிரிலாம் படிச்சிருந்தீங்கன்னா நீங்க ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தி உழைச்சிருப்பீங்க. So let me take a break. Then explore options. But ultimately, when you explore options, திரும்பி you will come back to the same thing. Study further, start a business, or eventually go to work. Okay. Now, this is exactly what if you recall, some of you attended yesterday's discussion, exactly the same process that Mr. Engineer went through, right? He came to this crossroads and he decided, okay, I'd like to apply for going abroad to study, okay? Or I would like to go ahead and join his family business, his father's construction business. Or eventually, inspired by his own family, chose to take a break, prepare for the exams for administrative services, and aced it in the first attempt. Okay, something phenomenally great in my opinion, right? So everybody goes through that process of thinking about what options to take. You're in that crossroads right now. Okay, do not worry about whether this is right or wrong. The idea is to take an action based on your gut feel and some consultation with family and friends. Okay, you are at an age where you can always pivot. Nalike, you can change your plan. Okay, so there is no too much difficulty. Now, since we are going to talk about work in particular, okay, I will focus on that option. Okay, now yesterday we did see one of the options that was presented to you yesterday, working in public service, okay, which is the government, okay, which as all of you would recognize has several advantages to it. Okay, you are not only working in a very stable environment as people would like to think of it, but you have an opportunity to be of great service to the citizens. Okay, so in that sense, for me, working in public service is also equal to a social sector. I told you right in the beginning, social sector no sector na taniya nama or pillar madi vekama. If I had another opportunity to redo this slide, I would have put the social sector as a foundation across all of these sectors. Okay, it actually fits into all of these 4 sectors that are in sort of brown color. Now, the next option, like what I got, okay, இத பத்தி நான் ரொம்ப திங்க் கூட பண்ணல. There was a campus recruitment. I attended an interview and I got selected to work in what was considered in those days one of the largest chemical industries in South India, let alone just Tamil Nadu, no? Called South India Industries, South India Viscose Industries, or SIV Industries as we used to call it. It was in a place called Mettupalayam. Actually, it's about 50 kilometers from Mettupalayam. The company, unfortunately, has been shut down for about 20 years, but it used to be a phenomenal company. Okay? Straight from college, முடிச்சிட்டு ஒரு 3-4 நாள் தான் I would have gone to home I was already on the next train heading off to South India West Coast. Absolutely no difference from college life to work life. Anga ponalo anga or hostel called a bachelor's hostel. Anga ponalo or 30 to 40 students who had just freshly graduated or 1 year experience already working there. Nangella ore edutla or hostel mari thangirundom. Better food, better rooms, but otherwise the environment was exactly like what it was in Annamalai University. So it was almost like 4 years of college life and then 2 years of management trainee, and I worked for an additional 2 years. 4 வருஷம் அப்படியே ஒரு காலேஜ்ல இருந்து அப்படியே திரும்பி இன்னொரு additional காலேஜுக்கு போன மாதிரி தான் இருந்துச்சு எனக்கெல்லாம், except I was getting paid. Okay, but of course what I should not forget here was the amazing amount of learning that I was able to get when I was working here. Okay, in the my opportunity kadachishna, I think you should just go and try. Okay, because you again get exposed to processes, you get exposed to technology, you get exposed to people management, you get exposed to politics of a workplace, and it is fantastic. There are people there who are 30 years, 40 years your senior, and you will be able to collectively learn from them. And let me tell you, young people, almost everybody out there look at you and would always like to help you. அதை நீங்க வந்து ஒரு ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டியை எடுக்கணும். ஆனால் கேளுங்கள் கொடுக்கப்படும்ன்ற மாதிரி you will have to ask for help and people will be always glad to help. Okay, once in a while they'll knock you on the head if you keep asking the same thing over and over again, if you're not picking up something. But people in general are very helpful, all the more in India than anywhere else. Okay, so you will have a great opportunity if you go down the private sector path. Of course, there is this opportunity to start up. It's a new trend. New trend in சொல்ல முடியாது, அந்த காலத்துல இருந்தே இருக்கு. But in the last 10 years, 15 years, startups have become very sexy. Everybody talks about startups. You have incubators. You have we have that in our own university. So many of you might have ideas. You may collate, join friends together, say, let's start up something. Or, as I said, could join something which is already existing. Okay, that may not be the path for everybody, but it could be a path which is there for some of you. Okay, again, that's a great experience. Okay, that's a great experience. And within this week, as my good friend Mahendran mentioned, you will also explore, you will be addressed by my own batchmates who have become extremely successful in the academy. Okay, so teaching as a career is not a bad option at all. Left to me, I would have preferred to be a teacher also. In many ways, I still do teach and train a lot, so I feel that I am an academic in one way or another. Okay, so idla inna interesting in pathina. Okay, all of this is somehow contributing to society, and that's what we mean by the social sector in general. Okay, of course there are certain institutions which represent the social sector, but in my opinion there is no great provider to society than a teacher. Of course, could be a high school teacher, could be an engineering college student teacher, or could be a teacher in a vocational institute. Okay, so the social sector in that sense is all about helping the society with the knowledge you have. Being an engineer, நீங்க already ரொம்ப unique. Okay, இது தமிழ்நாடுல சொன்னா கல்லெடுத்து அடிப்பாங்க, but the reality is having a scientific point of view. இது எனக்கு நல்ல ஞாபகம் இருக்கு. நான் 5th standard 4th standard படிக்கும்போது there used to be an English textbook that I used to, எங்களோட 4th or 5th standard book, அதில் வந்து having a scientific point of view ஒரு ஸ்டோரி இருக்கும், ஒரு English prose, which tells you why it is so important to have a very logical thinking, why it is very important to have a very scientific basis for your thinking அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. Okay, so which I think as an engineer, it is somehow hard-coded into you. நீங்க அதை ரியலைஸே பண்ண மாட்டீங்க, but that is somehow built into you. And over the next 20 years, 30 years of your life, you will see that you tend to think a little bit differently because of all the logic that has been brought into you without you realizing it. காலேஜ்ல போய் படிச்சு அதெல்லாம் இது ரொம்ப லாஜிக்கலா இருக்கு, this is how I'm different from the others ன்னா நீங்க ரியலைஸ் பண்ண மாட்டீங்க. But you will realize that it actually gives you a major advantage. So do not think இந்த சினிமாவெல்லாம் பார்த்துட்டு இன்ஜினியரிங் படிச்சா ஒன்றும் வேலை இல்லை. Not really. Okay, for people who are smart, who try and work hard, who are always ready to learn, I think the world is full of opportunities. Okay, now only thing that I am trying to make as a point in this presentation is that while you're talking about yourself, looking at yourself and upgrading your life, please think about the others, and that is going to give you not only immense pleasure, and very soon you will realize it is a vocation where you can actually make good money also. Okay, you could be in the social sector and start up a new business. You could be in the social sector and start up a private startup also. So just by being in the same sector, while you're serving people, you could also be doing well for yourself. Okay, so let me stop here and actually take a breather and get into the real details of the social sector. Now, let's quickly see what we have done so far. I've not told you anything new. Okay, you've got the life after college coming up very soon. Okay, you have some options in front of you. The options are either go into further studies, go into public service, go into academic, okay, go into or start or join a business. Okay, for all of that, whatever you've studied is going to be extremely useful. But obviously, technical skills is not enough. We need a lot of social skills, a lot of soft skills, and that's what life is going to teach you. And as I keep repeating, I think there's been no better place to learn all of this than in the confines of Annamalai University. Okay, so Annamalai University, we also went through the same process, studied in hostels for 4 years. Okay, at least most of us did. I stayed in the hostel all throughout. Okay, in fact, one of my roommates is going to speak to you day after tomorrow, and he's going to give you a very different perspective of the path he has taken, and as how successful he's become. Tomorrow you're going to hear about a brilliant engineer who's going to talk about space and science and engineering and the various options that is going to be made available to you. As an engineer, that is the minimum that is expected. Now, what I'm going to talk to you in the next 15 minutes is about the social sector, or what I define as a social sector. Now, let me remind you again, the social sector is an extremely broad swath of activities. Okay, so நீங்க எங்க இருந்தாலும் நீங்க சொசைட்டிக்கு ஒரு இம்பாக்ட் கிரியேட் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ இன் மெனி வேஸ் யூ ஆர் ஆக்சுவலி அ பிளேயர் இன் த சோஷியல் செக்டர். பட் ஆனால் சோஷியல் செக்டர்னே ஒரு குரூப் இருக்குது. இட் கேன் பி அ லான்ச் பேட் ஃபார் மெனி ஆஃப் யூ யங் பீப்புள். ஓகே, நீங்க காலேஜில் படிக்கும் போது நீங்க வாலண்டியர் பண்ணலாம், ஏதாவது ஒரு சொசைட்டிக்கு இல்லைன்னா ஏதாவது ஒரு என்ஜிஓக்கு. That will actually be very good for you in your resume. நாளைக்கு நீங்க வந்து ஒரு ஜாபுக்கு அப்ளை பண்றதா இருந்தாலும் சரி, இல்லாட்டி ஒரு யூனிவர்சிட்டிக்கு அப்ளை பண்றதா இருந்தாலும் சரி. For many of you who want to apply for overseas studies, இந்த மாதிரி you did some volunteering work. You helped people from the underprivileged communities, or you helped young people organize. இந்த மாதிரி நீங்க நிறைய social awareness activities participate பண்ணீங்கன்னா you get a benefit when you are being reviewed either for a job or even for further education. And all of those skill sets of dealing with young people, dealing with people who may or may not have education, dealing with people who have other challenges, okay, agriculture sector, and my various sectors, is going to make you a better human being. And many a times you will observe opportunities naalika neenga or business aako. Okay, I remember I can't remember where it was. It was our vice chancellor in those days when we were still studying, who said, do not be a job seeker, be somebody who will create jobs. Okay, நீங்க நாளைக்கு 2 பேர் work கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா, if you see the people who are in this call from my batch, P.R. Shivashankar, who spoke to you yesterday, Mr. Mahendran, who's been the force behind all of this, Mr. Gopi, who's been very, very active. They're all entrepreneurs. They're all job creators. Okay. But do they have challenges? Do I have challenges? Of course we do. But we've chosen to provide jobs as well. Okay. It doesn't mean that you should not work in a company and become a manager, become a generalist, and also then give guidance to hundreds and thousands of people. Okay. So that's also a great opportunity. You can be an entrepreneur, you can be an entrepreneur. Okay. So let's look at the social sectors, shall we? Okay. So very broad category from some large organizations. நம்ம இதை ஓவரா இதை பத்தி தியரட்டிக்கலா போறது இல்லை. Whoன்னு சொன்னா is World Health Organization, of course World Bank, UNICEF. Many young people do not know about these industries or this sector. By the way, World Bank entry level salary for a young person, entry level salary for a young person, which is like 25 years to 26 years old. ஏன்னா அவங்க அண்டர்கிராட்லாம் ஹையர் பண்ண மாட்டாங்க, ஒரு மாஸ்டர்ஸ் டிகிரிக்கு மேலே தான் அவங்களால ஹையர் பண்ணுவாங்க. Entry level salary is $75,000. Okay, World Bank, I'm talking about. Okay, இதுல வந்து of course country level officers-க்கும் வேலை இருக்கும், will be extremely high salaries. World Bank ஓட வேலை என்னது? Of course it's a bank. ஆனா எதுக்கு பணம் கொடுக்குறாங்க? Bridge கட்டுறதுக்கு, okay, for constructing dams, for large irrigation projects, for building a big educational network. For all of that, they need engineers. So, what is funny, you go to WHO, World Bank, you go to UN, you go to Asian Development Bank, United Nations, you will see it on TV, many of the people who work there, all are engineers. Okay, many of them who have chosen to study something in masters and moved on. But this is a sector which is, at least in the international organization, in the UNICEF, World Bank, WHO, they get extremely well paid. Number one. Number two, அவங்க பேக்கு வந்து tax கிடையாது. Okay, they get $50,000 வச்சுப்போமே ஒரு பேச்சுக்கு, which is very low. $50,000 வச்சுப்போம் ஒரு வருஷத்துக்கு, tax கிடையாது. On top of it, full education benefit for the children. On top of it, housing benefit. Okay, அவங்களுக்கு கொடுக்குற மாதிரி salaries எங்கேயுமே இருக்கு. Okay, ஆனா இந்த செக்டர் யாருமே பார்க்கவே மாட்டாங்க. Okay, so I'm just opening your eyes. நாளைக்கு வந்து ஒன்றும் இல்லை, இந்த ஸ்பீச் முடிஞ்ச பிறகு ஈவினிங் வந்து when you're just sitting and getting settled down amongst friends, just look at jobs in World Bank and Google பண்ணுங்க. They'll actually have everything listed down there. அவங்களோட benefits என்னது, எப்படி ஹையர் பண்ணுவாங்க. And they have something called the Young Professional Program, where people like you, not exactly 21 years old, but let's say 25 years old, 26 years old, can apply. It's an international competition, but if you are in friends, you're set for life. Okay, you're set for life. Okay, and not only are you set for life, you are actually going to be making a big difference in the lives of people. Okay, it's political, so there is always some issues here and there. Okay, but in general, these organizations exist to do good. By the way, இதோட equivalence இந்தியாலயும் இருக்கு. Okay, NABARD, okay, IDBI. Okay, so you could be going into these kinds of sectors and do very, very well. Non-profit sector is one way of calling the social sector, but non-profit only தான் இப்போ social sector கிடையாது. There is a convergence. Very corporations have a social division nowadays. Whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google, whether it's Microsoft, okay, whether it's Tatas for over 100 years have done more social good than anybody put together. Wipro, Infosys, they've made huge difference in the lives of people. And if you're thinking they're just an IT company, you're highly mistaken. And அவங்க பண்ற work-க்கெல்லாம் they need engineers to execute. நாளைக்கு ஒரு வாட்டர் ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணணும், ஒரு ரூரல் பெங்களூர் சைடில், இல்லை ரூரல் கர்நாடகாவில், இல்லை ஒரு ரூரல் தமிழ்நாடுலன்னா ஒரு அக்ரிகல்ச்சர் ப்ராஜெக்ட் பண்ணணும்னா they're going to tap on engineers, project planners. Okay, so you have great opportunity notwithstanding which industry you are traditionally thinking about on this front, right? Okay, so what Kofi Annan, many years ago, he used to be the UN Secretary General. Okay, he said that young people like you, friends, okay, I'd like to think of myself as young. Okay, whenever I interact with people like you, I am also energized. I think we can be key drivers for change. Okay, change not only for yourself, for your own family. Charity begins at home. First, you make the change at home. You be a good son or a daughter. Okay, fulfill the responsibilities that you have. But very clearly, many of you, touch wood, are coming from families where நாளைக்கு நீங்க காலையில சாப்பாடு டேபிள்ல வச்சாதான் that feeds the family-ன்ற மாதிரி ஒரு நிலைமை இல்லைன்னா, okay, then you're very lucky. Then you must use this opportunity over the next 6 months to 1 year to experiment. Okay, இதுல இப்போ நிறைய பேர் கன்வீனியன்ட்டா வந்து அரியர்ஸ்லாம் இருக்கும். ஸோ ஒன்றும் பண்ணலனா கூட நீங்க எக்ஸ்பெரிமெண்ட் பண்ற சாய்ஸ் வந்துடும் உங்களுக்கு. பட் லெட்ஸ் சே ஒரு அரியரும் இல்லைன்னு வச்சுங்களேன், all the more you can take a break and still think through things. Okay, there's no absolute problem. Things are not going to suddenly change. நாளைக்கே எனக்கு வேலை இருக்கணும் இல்லைன்னா என்ன ஒரு மாதிரி பார்ப்பாங்க. I don't think so. Okay, I think your family will stand by you if you clearly explain to them that I would like to explore a little further what I would like to do. Okay, not only for my good and my own family's good, your responsibility, as I told you, lies and steadfast with the family and the society you are there for, but you could also think about how you could create global good for everybody around you. Okay, so but just to look at some options, project management. There's nothing more engineering than project management or solutions creation. For example, right now as we speak, we have multiple projects in India, and almost all the projects involve people. We are an NGO. All the people who are working in the NGO are engineers. Why? Because the solutions we are creating, whether it's for farmers, whether it's for people who are having small, milk farms. Okay, Thirumalanu or company oda naanga work pannittu, we are doing a lot to do dairy farming at a small hold level. Okay, adukku ellame vandu we need to use technology. Okay, we need to do planning, we need to do scheduling, we need to do implementation, which is all project management. Okay, இதுல என்ன மெயின் கம்யூனிட்டி பேஸ்ட் சொல்யூஷன்ஸ் வேணும்னா, நீங்க கம்யூனிட்டியில இருந்து அவங்களுக்கு என்ன ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கோ அந்த ப்ராப்ளம்க்கு ஏற்ற மாதிரி நீங்க சொல்யூஷன் டிசைன் பண்ணணும்னா, you are at a tremendous advantage as an engineering student. Okay, as an engineering student, you are at a tremendous advantage. நாளைக்கு ஒரு ஆர்ட்ஸ் ஸ்டூடெண்ட் போய் அந்த கம்யூனிட்டியில் நல்லா கம்யூனிகேட் பண்ணாலும், he or she may not have the wherewithal where what you can bring to the table, which is a scientific point of view, which is what I was trying to tell you all the time. Okay, of course, they bring in a lot of advantages as well. That is why, as a young person, the more you get exposed to a cross-sectoral setup, okay, where you're meeting with art students, you're meeting with commerce students, you're meeting with engineering students, and you're able to co-create a solution now, I think it will be phenomenal. Okay, it will be phenomenal. So I remember many of my own batchmates went into business development. One of the speakers who will speak to you tomorrow is a expert in business development, where he's combining technical knowledge, commercial knowledge, and is able to present a solution to various customers. Many of you may have that opportunity. Okay, so in the social sector, you will have that unique opportunity where you bring your technical knowledge. Of course, you're still raw. Okay, this is where you will join somebody, you will learn from those people. Okay, every disaster management, how do we protect ourselves? In the pandemic, what sort of controls can we do? Malaria, what kind of solutions can we produce? In the biomimicry, so where you look at nature and learn from nature and try to create a new solution. Those solutions can become $1 million idea, if not $1 billion idea. Okay, so these things can be good ideas for you to eventually become great successes in life. Okay, so there is a concept, there's other things you could be doing in this whole social sector, communication and visibility. I see all of you are great communicators. Okay, nalla articulate பண்ணனும். நீங்க உட்கார்ந்து thesis எழுதிருக்கீங்க, நீங்க உட்கார்ந்து எத்தனையோ சப்ஜெக்ட் படிக்கிறீங்க compared to so many other arts and commerce and other. I'm not putting them down. The rigor, the educational rigor that you go through, M1, M2, M3 போயே தலையில இருக்க மயிரெல்லாம் போயிடுச்சு கம்ப்ளீட்டா. ஓகே, அப்போ போனது தான் இது வரைக்கும் திரும்பி வரவே இல்லை. Okay, so the intensity at which we study, the amount we study within 4 years is a lot. Okay, so you have by default a lot of stamina, okay, a lot of capability. இதை வந்து நீங்க ஒரு harness பண்ணீங்கன்னா, I think you can do extremely very well moving forward. So these are some of the things. I'm just throwing some highlights, young people, girls and boys. I'm just trying to throw just an iota of what are possible. Okay, I'm not going to try and put various roles into it. Okay, like I told you, I'm coming to almost the end of the presentation, the last 2-3 slides. Okay, there is this concept in the last 10 years, something which also inspired me about 15 years ago itself to go down this path. Okay, நான் காலேஜில் படிக்கும்போது I used to be the president of Rotaract Club. I used to be very active in the whole social movement while I was in the university. அந்த காலத்தில் Rotary Club of Rotaract Club of Chidambaramனு ஒன்று இருந்துச்சு, and I was the president of that. Any blood donation, anything, people will come to my room. I'm talking from the community, so I was able to do a lot. நடுவில் ரோட்லலாம் போயிட்டு இது ஹெட்லைட்ஸ்க்கு ஸ்டிக்கர் ஓட்டுறது. So a lot of social things we used to do. I think all these became something which was ingrained in me, which drove me to get into this social space anyway. But I could see that I could use my engineering skills, my scientific way of thinking, process way of thinking, and see how I could do good on one hand, but also make a good career out of it. Okay, charity begins at home. I repeat it twice. Okay, you also have to make sure you are taking care of yourself, taking care of your family, providing for them, that you have the energy and stamina and motivation to go forward. அது எப்படி முடியும்? If you are Maslow's theory madri, if your basic needs are being taken care of, your immediate family's needs are being taken care of, and then you are all the more motivated to do better for others also, not only for yourself but others also. So we have come to a point, ஒரு காலத்துல 20 years ago, 30 years ago, when we were in college, ஒரு என்ஜிஓல வேலை செய்யறேன்னா நீ நிறைய சாக்ரிஃபைஸ் பண்ணிட்டு தான் வேலை செய்யணும். இன்னைக்கு அப்படி கிடையாது. You get market prices. நீ இன்ஜினியரிங்ல என்ன வெளியில போய் என்ன சம்பாதிக்கிறியோ அதே அளவுக்கு சம்பாதிக்கலாம், அதே மாதிரி க்ரோவும் பண்ணலாம் career wise. Okay, like I told you, the World Bank அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் போயிட்டு இருந்தா, I think it's better than working for the best multinational corporation. Your cost to the company would be around $200,000-$300,000. Okay, that it's mind-boggling. Okay, so you could do good, note that, and do well for yourself. Okay, the other interesting thing is சோஷியல் செக்டர்னா அதை வந்துட்டு நீங்க போயிட்டு உட்காந்துட்டு பீச்சை கிளீன் பண்ணினே இருப்பீங்க, இல்லைன்னா நாற்று நட்டேன் அந்த மாதிரி ப்ரீ பிளான்டிங் மட்டும் பண்ண அந்த மாதிரி எல்லாம் கிடையாது. It has to be a sustainable solution, and when it is a sustainable solution, you'll be very surprised. Quite a few of the projects that you may be involved will involve your core skills. Okay, இது எப்படி அப்ளை பண்றதுன்னு உங்களுக்கு day 1 புரியாது. That's where you learn from others. You learn from your seniors. And you will learn, okay, so polycarbonate இப்படி யூஸ் பண்ணலாம், okay, solar drying யூஸ் பண்ணலாம், okay, we could be using greenhouse technology to farm vegetables, okay, we could be using something else to reduce pollution, okay, we could be doing solid waste management, recycling, e-waste management, and how we could recycle it and make money out of it. Okay, so you will be using core skills. And since you are in the community using your skills and all that, you will understand new opportunities. The greatest entrepreneurs were all working on things where they suddenly realized, wow, in the area of very opportunity, why don't I start a business like this? I think the OYO rooms guy started like that. நம்ம ஊர்ல இருக்குது எக்கச்சக்கமான stories where our people, okay, because they were close to the ground reality, they were able to identify various opportunities and came up with solutions. On the time you will partner with somebody else, இன்னொரு கிளாஸ்மேட்டோட ஜாயின் பண்ணலாம், இன்னொரு இன்வெஸ்டரோட ஜாயின் பண்ணலாம். நிறைய பணம் வேணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது. All of you understand startups right now, okay, and you could be cognizant of new opportunities, and so you could actually use mobile technology. எவ்வளோ பெனிஃபிட்ஸ் நம்ம பார்க்குறோம். இதை வச்சுட்டு எப்படி, how can we help students, how can we help farmers, how could we help other people? Technology-based solutions, so it still uses your core skills, but it still makes great opportunities for you. Okay, இதை வந்து நீங்க day 1ல இருந்தே இதெல்லாம் உங்களால பண்ண முடியுமானா முடியாது. Day 1ல இருந்தே பண்றது உடனே ஒர்க் ஆகுமா? முடியாது. Sometimes while you're doing some things, you could pivot. Okay, நீங்க ஒரு இதுல ஆரம்பிச்சுட்டு நாளைக்கு நீங்க பிவட் பண்ணலாம். நாங்க இப்படி ஆரம்பிச்சுட்டு நாளைக்கு ஒரு பிரைவேட் செக்டருக்குள்ள போகலாம், நாளைக்கு பிரைவேட் செக்டர்ல இருந்து ஒரு சோஷியல் செக்டருக்குள்ள வரலாம். That is the dynamic opportunity that the social sector can offer you. Okay, the pivot opportunities. I'm the last 5 minutes in நினைக்கிறேன். Let me just do quickly. So இதுல வந்து what people are saying are some of the skills. This is the core technical skills. Some of the skills that our young people need. Please, friends, we have 1 billion people. Okay, yesterday I was watching something about literacy. I think India has come a long way in providing literacy. Literacy is no longer the question. No? Literacy we have achieved. Okay, இன்னும் அந்த பழைய கதையை உட்காந்து அரைச்சுன்னு இருக்க முடியாது. முன்னாடி படிக்கவே இல்லை, இப்போ அவ்வளோ பேரை படிக்க வச்சிட்டோம், அந்த மாதிரி இது won't work. Now we need to look at the quality and the application of this literacy for practical things, right? So that is what the 21st century skills is all about. Okay, it's about critical thinking. Okay, the ability to collaborate, the ability to do analysis. Okay, problem solving and decision making. ஒரு ப்ராப்ளம் இருக்கு, இதை கிரிட்டிக்கலா திங்க் பண்ணி எப்படி மற்றவங்களோட கொலாபரேட் பண்ணி ஒரு இனோவேட்டிவா ஒரு சொல்யூஷன் கொண்டு வர முடியும். ஓகே, these are all skills which you can gain in the social sector because you are forced. நீங்க இப்போ இது தப்பான்னு நான் சொல்லலை. If you're going to be in, let's say, a BPO sector or in an IT sector, there's nothing wrong. IT sector has opened up so much opportunities, particularly amongst Indians, for all of us in the last 30-40 years. But if you're just going to be somebody who's just a programmer, who's not involved in design, then the chances are that you may not be able to unleash your creativity, collaborate with others. But if you have that opportunity, please do. Okay, and idellati eppadi use panni, how do you become a leader is the thing. And in the idula, like I told you, any business opportunity நீங்க பார்த்து அந்த பிசினஸ்ல வந்து மற்றவங்களை ஹெல்ப் பண்ற மாதிரி இருக்குது. ஓகே, you charge them for it, right? நீங்க 100 ரூபாய் சார்ஜ் பண்ணுங்க, 50 ரூபாய் சார்ஜ் பண்ணுங்க, 200 ரூபாய் சார்ஜ் பண்ணுங்க. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and you will see. Okay, C.K. Prahalad in the old days talked about the bottom of the pyramid, or he was talking about the wealth at the bottom of the pyramid. அதை வந்து ரொம்ப எக்ஸ்ட்ரீமு கொண்டு போய் அதை ஓவரா யூஸ் பண்ணிட்டாங்க. ஓகே, I wouldn't recommend that, but if we can balance good environmental practice, good social practice, which is respecting for people and things like that, and still be happy with the money you would make. I think we started off by talking about a quotation from Mahatma Gandhi. Another famous quotation from is that there is enough in the world for everybody's need, but not for everybody's greed. Okay, so I think Annamalai University, in my opinion, teaches us a lot of modesty. Okay, it teaches us that, hey, this is more than enough for us. Let's do well. Let's enjoy with our friends. Let's do well for others. Okay, and the culture la nam varumbodhu, I think you will do extremely well for by not only taking care of yourself first, no harm in that, but also taking care of others. So when we look at these 21st century skills, நீங்க பாத்தீங்கனாலே, okay, the words that they talk about, critical thinking, leadership skills, creativity, collaboration, which are all skills that are required. Everybody knows this, but the practice பண்றது வந்துட்டு is usually not as easy. The social sector actually gives you an opportunity to do that. Okay, conscious and பண்ணலாம். So then what happens is that you could start off, அந்த காலத்துல Steve Jobs had come to India before he had started off Apple and things like that. He got inspired here. Okay, went back to create great things. Okay, so I'm thinking that, since we are all close to the ground, we could be looking at options, opportunities just amongst our own peers, and then try to build something beyond that. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'm hoping that I will be able to. I'm able to convince you to look at the social sector in general. What I wanted to tell you is, unlike a government job and the path to a government job, this is not such a streamlined path, because number one, the social sector is very broad. Okay, you could be in private sector and still be doing something which creates impact on society. You could be in the academy and still be creating something in the creating a positive impact in the society. But there is a defined sector called the social sector itself, which has many players. NGOs are there, corporates are involved there, international organizations that I just mentioned, the World Bank, UN, World Health Organization, UNICEF, and they are all there. அவங்க எல்லாருமே வந்து are working towards the upliftment of people. And don't forget, people, as much as I don't want to look at them as a market, okay, 7 billion people are people who are there to, fuel your dreams. Okay, but அவங்களுக்கு நீங்க அந்த dreamsல, they are not part of your dreams, then you are doing great injustice. So I would recommend that. So இம்மீடியட்டா வந்து நான் இப்படிதான் போனோம் அப்படிதான் போனோம்னு திங்க் பண்ணாம கொஞ்சம் வெயிட் பண்ணி கொஞ்சம் வாலண்டியர் ஒர்க் அது இதுன்னு நீங்க பண்ணீங்கன்னா, ஐ திங்க் தட் வில் பி வெரி நைஸ். நீங்க ஒரு பிரைவேட் செக்டர் ஜாப் எடுத்துட்டு கூட இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு வாலண்டியர் ஒர்க் பண்ணலாம். இட் வில் அகெயின் ட்ரிகர் யுவர் கிரியேட்டிவ் ஜூசஸ். ஓ, நான் இதான் என்னோட ஆஃபீஸ்ல பண்ணினேன், இங்க இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சேலஞ்ச் இருக்கு, வை டோன்ட் ஐ கோ டெல் மை பாஸ், வை டோன்ட் வி கம்பைன் திஸ்? யூ வில் கெட் கிரெடிட் ஃபார் தட். ஓகே, ஸோ being engaged and being in touch with society in general is very, very useful. And the society is now your immediate circle தாண்டி சொல்றேன். Just because you are hanging out with friends, I won't call that the society, right? Particularly the people who are in need, you must be in a position to help them. Okay, I think, I'm not sure, but maybe eventually our organizers will give you this presentation. I'm just இந்த ஒரே ஒரு ஸ்லைட் எதுக்கு நான் காமிக்கிறேன்னா, these are some of our select projects in India. இதை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கோல்ட் ஸ்டோரேஜ் அண்ட் சோலார் ட்ரையிங், இதை பார்த்தீங்கன்னா கிளீன் மில்க் ப்ரொடக்ஷன், நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி திருமலா மில்க் which is just in here in Madavaram. This is another project which is also about skilling workforce, which is just in Ambattur, if I'm not mistaken, or Sriperambuttur. Okay, and another project which is also in the auto component sector. But இதுல என்ன காமன் இது பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, இட்ஸ் ஆல் அபவுட் either cleaning the environment, making people safe, making people productive. Okay, so எல்லாமே engineering involved activities, but at the same time creates benefit for some other beneficiaries. Okay, the beneficiaries could be the earth. Okay, the beneficiaries could be the people. The beneficiaries could be the families of the people. நாளைக்கு ஒரு மில்க் ப்ரொடியூசர் வந்து ஒரு 4 மாடு வச்சிருக்காரு, 3 மாடு வச்சிருக்காரு, இஸ் ஸ்ட்ரகிளிங், பட் இஸ் நவ் லேர்னிங் பெட்டர் டெக்னிக்ஸ் அண்ட் இஸ் ஆல்சோ காட் பார்ட் ஆஃப் அ சப்ளை செயின்னா, hopefully he is able to provide, he or she is able to provide well for their own children. Okay, so that's how we uplift the society. We have great examples like that in India. Okay, Namma oor madri, I think thinking of other people has never been there anywhere else in the world, based on my experience. A lot of people in Africa look to India for South-South collaborations. Suddenly they cannot import technology from Germany. They would rather import technology from India because it meets their socio-economic levels. So there is a lot of opportunity where the globe becomes your market. I remember many years ago when our former president Abdul Kalam came to the Philippines. The first thing he said in a very small meeting of about 50 people, he said, you are coming here, working in this country, do good for the people here. That's how you will build the name of India. Okay, so you look at it that way, that we could make huge mark in the world as a soft power by being involved in a lot of social activities. Okay, so I'll stop here, friends. I think there's a bunch more slides, but I think basically you could feel free to ask me questions now. Okay. Thank you everybody. இதுவரைக்கும் எல்லாரும் கேட்டீங்களா? Gopi,
yes, sir. We heard, sir.
Okay. So did you pick up any questions?
So good afternoon, Mr. Sreenivas.
Good afternoon, sir.
Murugapan. So sorry that I could not join in the beginning. Maybe I was halfway through.
Thank you, but thanks for joining, sir.
Just I would like to share. So my family was there in Chennai for 3 years during 2014 to 17 or 18. And we used to get milk from, we were staying in T Nagar, we used to get milk. We tried so many milk products, including this Arogya, Hudson, Dodland. And Tirumala was the one which was liked very much by all of us. Me, my daughter and my wife. So maybe hats up to you, because you told that you were involved in the Tirumala development, the milk development. So it's coincidental. So maybe that is a proof of the work, the quality of work we are doing. I wanted to just share with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dean. But I'm very happy that you could join, sir. I think it inspires a lot of our young people also.
Thank you.
Everybody's very happy. Okay, so I'm gonna just open. I have a doubt. After I finish my college life, my parents would expect me to earn and support the family. How can I convince them I want to explore? Okay, so Jaya Krishnan E and I. Okay, இதை எப்படி மாடரேட் பண்ண போறோம் காலேஷ்? இந்த questions இங்க இருக்கு கொஞ்சம்.
Sir, I will ask the questions which I got, sir.
Okay, start.
Or else you can answer the questions which you got in for.
No. I think we should follow the system. But I will answer Jayakrishnan by typing in a message, or if there is time, I will still answer him also. Why don't you start with the questions, Kalesh?
Okay, sir. So the first question which I got is, is it a good idea to start something from our own area of interest, sir, or we should first start with our social sector, and then go with our own?
I think you can do both. Whoever asked this
Sector,
question,
sir.
you can do both. There's no harm in it. But let's be very clear. Starting up something is not that easy. Okay, it requires a lot of discipline. More importantly, it requires self-discipline. Okay, and additionally, of course, you need some expertise and some experience. Okay, it will be ideal. Okay, now people always say, why don't you borrow other people's money in Solramadi? Why don't you borrow other people's inspiration also? Okay, there is a book for 4-5 years. Google panna. It's called Borrowing Brilliance. Borrowing Brilliance. I can't remember the author. It's a yellow color book, covered book rather. What it says is that almost all the best ideas is somehow an offshoot of another idea. Okay, so, and in many cases there could be something which is working elsewhere, which you could be using with some retrofitting here. Okay, what we call adopt it and adapt it to your local setting. Okay, but sometimes many people misunderstand and think that you need a huge amount of investment. Okay, you probably have heard about the concept of bootstrapping, but let's not look at only starting up right now, whether in the non-profit or social sector or even in the business sector. Immediately you can start practicing. You can start going to work. Okay, நம்ம non-profit sectorல என்ன சொல்லுவோம், இல்ல social sectorல என்ன சொல்லுவோம்னா, learn to serve before you learn to lead. Okay, politicsலயும் அதுதான் important. Politicsல வந்த உடனே எல்லாருமே லீடர் ஆகணும்னு பார்க்குறாங்க இப்போ, but principle, what we are trying to say in the social sector is that learn to serve before you can learn to lead. So I think for all of you, you have a long way to go. As I told you, while I'm bordering on whatever age I'm bordering on, I still think of when I wake up every day that I'm still got a lot of energy and a lot of things that are still to be done in Ramadi. So given that, and you guys are still in your early 20s, probably 21, 22 at the most, you've got a long way ahead of you. So take your time. Okay, இதுல ஒரு 2 years வந்து நான் போய் அப்பா அம்மா சொல்ற மாதிரி நான் ஒரு workல join பண்றேன், இல்ல ஒரு work எனக்கு கிடைச்சிருக்கு, so let me first do that. That's the question that Jaya Krishnan also asked. Coming from middle class, is it not important that I first take care of the family responsibility? I absolutely think you should. Okay, there's no harm. Okay, அது 2 வருஷம் அதை பண்ணிட்டு கூட நீங்க அதுக்கப்புறம் எக்ஸ்ப்ளோர் பண்ணலாம். நான் 4 வருஷம் ஆஸ் அ மேனேஜ்மெண்ட் ட்ரெயினி, 2000 ரூபாய், அஃப்கோர்ஸ் சாப்பாடு ஓசி, தங்குறது ஓசி, லஞ்ச் வந்து 18 பைசா, and in the greatest company that was known to me at that time in my life, and I still think I'm very biased, South India Viscose, where I learned everything. 4 years I spent without a question. Morning shift, evening shift, only advantage I had, thanks to Annamalai University maybe, was my MD liked me and he would say, யாராவது விசிட்டர்ஸ் வந்தாங்கன்னா ஸ்ரீனிவாஸ் அனுப்பிச்சு விடுப்பா. We had 10,000 employees. ஸ்ரீனிவாஸ் அனுப்பிச்சு விடுப்பா அவங்கள கம்பெனியை சுற்றி காட்டுறதுக்கு. It could be a minister, it could be the Major General of the Indian Army. நிறைய பேர் வருவாங்க எங்கள் கம்பெனிக்கு, since we were in the Metropolitan foothills. When a lot of these people came, I first came to know about MBA ஒரு டிகிரி இருக்குது, number 1. இந்த மாதிரி III, AIM, இந்த மாதிரி பெரிய பெரிய யூனிவர்சிட்டிஸ் இருக்குது, அங்கெல்லாம் MBA பண்ணிட்டு வந்தா எல்லாருமே செம நீட்டாக வந்துட்டாங்க. ஓகே, நாங்கள் வந்து அப்போ வந்து ஒரு மேனுஃபேக்சரிங் செட்டப்பில் இருக்கிறவங்க. அஃப்கோர்ஸ் 10,000 பேர், உள்ளே ஸ்கூலு, டென்னிஸ் கோர்ட்டு, அமேசிங் சர்ச்சு, டெம்பிள், எல்லாமே கேம்பஸ்குள்ளேயே இருக்கும். And we had thousands of employees living within the campus, more than 1,000 acres. அந்த மாதிரிலாம் கம்பெனி இப்போ சவுத் இந்தியாவில் இருக்கான்னு எனக்கு தெரியல, but certainly huge company. அங்கதான் I got inspired by people who came. அந்த காலத்திலேயே எங்களுக்கு மெக்கின்சிலேருந்து ஆளுங்க வந்தாங்க. அந்த காலத்திலேயே வந்து எங்களுக்கு டாடா எலக்ஸின்னு எங்களோட DCS சிஸ்டம்லாம் செட் பண்ணுறதுக்கு ஹனிவெல், எலக்ஸிலேருந்து அவங்க கொண்டு வந்த கன்சல்டன்ஸ் எல்லாமே வந்து MBS. யங் பீப்புள், வெரி வெல் ட்ரெஸ்ட். ஓகே, நாங்கள் இருக்கிறது ஒரு சார்ட் ஆஃப் இன் அ வெரி ரூரல் செட்டப்பில். இவங்க விடுற என்னன்னு சொல்றது, பீட்டர் மாதிரி இருக்கிற இதை நம்ம பார்த்தே, ஆஹா இதெல்லாம் நம்மளும் படிச்சுக்கணுமோ அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு, that's where I got inspired. So I worked for 4 years before I pursued a destination which I had never started off. நான் காலேஜ் அங்கே போயிருக்கும்போது, ஒர்க் போகும்போது நான் இந்த மாதிரி MBA பண்ணுவேன்னு நான் திங்கும் பண்ணல. Though I was always socially very aware, socially very conscious, I always wanted to do something related to social good. So Jay Krishnan, and I try and convince them, if it's possible, if you are not the one who's helping put food on the table. I mentioned it. But if you are going to be, if your contribution is going to be very critical for the family, then I think you should first start with helping the family. Or 2-3 years, you can engage in other things that you want to explore. Number 1. Secondly, If you want to work in the social sector, you could start off as a volunteer. There are so many organizations. Okay, நீங்க வந்து ஈவினிங் டைம்ல ஒர்க் பண்ணலாம், ரிமோட்டா ஒர்க் பண்ணலாம். Okay, so there is a lot of opportunities that you could apply for. Okay, as a volunteer. Okay, as a volunteer, so which will actually help you in your resume. நாளைக்கு இன்னொரு ஜாப் போகும்போது அங்க பார்ப்பாங்க அவங்க, ஓ இது தவிர நீங்க ஒர்க்கை தவிர இது வேற பண்ணீங்களா, வீக்லி ஒன்ஸ் போய் கம்யூனிட்டிஸ் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணீங்களா, இல்லை ஒரு யங் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு போய் நீங்கள் கோச்சிங் கொடுத்தீங்களா, இல்லைன்னா ஃபார்மர்ஸ் கூட போய் நீங்கள் ஒர்க் பண்ணீங்களா, இல்லை ஏதாவது விமன் செல்ஃப் ஹெல்ப் குரூப் ஹெல்ப் பண்ணீங்கன்னா தட் ஹெல்ப்ஸ் யூ. ஆர் இப்போ ஃபியூச்சரில் எஜுகேஷன் போகும்போது யூ வில் கெட் அ ஸ்காலர்ஷிப். This might be the one small difference which helps you get a scholarship. Okay. Let me stop there. Go ahead, Kalish. Next question.
Yes, sir. My second question is, what are the qualities needed, sir, for social job sector?
I think being an Annamalai student is already prepared you for that. So I'm thinking that that is a major advantage you already have. Okay. Being a rural setting, learn the work. படிச்சிருக்கிறீங்க. Okay, it doesn't mean that we are backward, no. I mean, Annamalai University இருக்கிறவங்க, they're brilliant people, but certainly when I came to Annamalai University, I got to meet friends from all over Tamil Nadu, all over India, friends who are till today we keep in touch. Okay, we have reunions every year, we gather together. இந்த மாதிரி எக்ஸ்போஷர் மற்றவங்களெல்லாம் வராது. நீங்கள் இப்போ ஒரு சென்னையில் வந்து ஒரு லயோலா காலேஜில் போய் படிக்கிறீங்களா, ஒரு பச்சைவாஸ் காலேஜில் போய் படிக்கிறீங்க, வாட் எவர் இது காலேஜ், ஆர்ட்ஸ் or even engineering, more or less the students tend to be from that area. Annamalai University, I think, is one of the very unique universities, at least நான் சொல்றது நாங்கள் படிக்கிற டைம்ல, where the university really brought together students from all over. அண்ட் நாங்கள் முல்லை இல்லம்ல இருக்கும்போது, நீங்கள் இப்போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் இயர் படிக்கும்போது முல்லை இல்லம்ல இருக்கீங்களான்னு தெரியல எனக்கு. We had PG degree students in the next hostel, which we always had some trouble or the other. We had medical students, so நிறைய எக்ஸ்போஷர் எங்களுக்கு ஆச்சு. அக்ரி ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ். So அந்த எக்ஸ்போஷர்லாம் வந்துட்டு I think actually prepares you for the social sector much more than what you all think actually. So that's an added advantage. Second is, even if you're shy, which many people are, so not because of any particular reason. Okay, one thing has to be very clear. உங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது வேணும்னா you will have to ask for it. First time நீங்க எப்படி கேட்கறதுன்னு தடவுவீங்க. ரெண்டாவது வாட்டி the person who is supposed to give the answer will be maybe rude. மூணாவது வாட்டி I think you will meet the perfect meeting of minds, and there onwards you can move forward. So நிறைய advantage இருக்கு உங்க எல்லாருக்குமே already. As such, I believe you guys you have a lot of advantage. Now, if you come from the city, in the urban centers, you are going to go away from Annamalai with friends from the rural side. If you're coming from the rural side, you'll have friends from the urban sector. And now I'm told that there's a lot of students from other states also. All these are going to be useful for you in the years to come.
ஒரு மீட்டிங் முடியற வரைக்கும் மீட்டிங்.
Go ahead, ma. Next question, Kalish.
Okay, sir. My third question is, what any social ideas that in Tamil Nadu that we can work upon, sir?
Okay, but I told you, look at the most pressing items that any state has, all the more Tamil Nadu: education, health, environment, okay, water, energy, okay. இந்த மாதிரி எதை எடுத்தாலும் there are multiple layers applied to it. Energy, I think we are in a much better position than where we used to be. So அந்த ஏரியால காஸ்ட் குறைக்கலாம். ரெண்டாவது, அந்த ஏரியால வந்து clean ஆக்கலாம் அதை. Okay, ஒரு காலத்துல it used to be stoves with a lot of smoke and things like that, using wood and coal and all that. Now we have got LPG for free. We've got so many other things for free. On the other hand, water is becoming a challenge. We all know that. Okay, Can we have a water distribution system? Can we have water saving system? Okay, ellame engineering. Okay, and funny enough, there'll be a lot of engineering solutions for it. Idu neenga community level la easy ah pannalam. Okay, illa indha maari oru business இருக்கிற company la poi neenga join. I see many people asking, sector, private sector, பாதி கம்பெனிங்க நீங்க நிறைய கம்பெனி எடுக்கலாம். ஓகே, ஃப்ரம் டிடிகே டு Thermax to நான் சொன்ன மாதிரி Infosys, all these Wipro. Okay, all these are companies, starters. I don't need to mention large public sector undertakings who are all big industries, but they have a social consciousness. இன்ன சில பேர் வந்து அது ஒரு சைடு ஆக்டிவிட்டி மாதிரி பண்ணுவாங்க. பட் அதை வந்துட்டு நீங்க வந்து யூ could do it as part of the core strategy. நீங்க இப்போ அந்த உங்க ஃபேக்டரி இருக்கிற ஏரியால நீங்க யங்ஸ்டர்ஸை ட்ரெயின் பண்ணீங்கன்னா அந்த யங்ஸ்டர்ஸே நீங்க எம்ப்ளாய் பண்ணலாம். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் ஃபியூச்சர்ல அந்த இதுக்கு நீங்க இன்வால்வ் ஆகலாம். Okay, yes, you are very young yourself, but you will. What I remember when I was very young, somebody who was my mentor told me, hey, all you have to do is to be one step ahead. அதுக்கு நீ ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணு, இன்னைக்கு நைட்டு ப்ரிப்பேர் பண்ணு, one step ahead you be there next day காலையில, so that you know one step ahead of that person. உனக்கு எல்லாத்துக்குமே சொல்யூஷன் தெரியணும்னு அவசியம் கிடையாது. You be one step ahead. So if you can prepare, and today, friends, information is available to you, right? You could Google anything. The biggest challenge, I believe, is the lack of curiosity. Okay, so the curiosity namak irukonu epovume. Okay, appo curiosity irunchina automatically you will look for an answer. You will wonder, hey, இந்த இது வேற எங்க மத்த இடத்துல என்ன பண்ணாங்க அப்படின்னு நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா திடீர்னு you will find 4 or 5 solutions which is being practiced elsewhere, and you will also see all the challenges they faced. So நீங்க பண்ணும்போது you will try and avoid it. நீங்க பண்ணும்போது you will find your own set of challenges, but that's normal. Okay, so I think that is what I'm answering Kanagaraj also in that, through that sector. Is there any entrance for social sector companies? If so, Bhuvaneshwari, Tripoli, அதே மாதிரி 2-3 பேர் கேட்டிருக்கீங்க. I think there's a lot of volunteering, non-profit jobs posts, Bhuvaneshwari, but நீங்க இதுக்குன்னு கான்ஷியஸா போய் பார்க்க தேவையில்லை. Like I said, if you're going to go and jump into the private sector, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it, because today you're like a sponge. You have to absorb things. நாளைக்கே நான் போயிட்டு லைஃபை சேஞ்ச் பண்ணும், உலகத்தை சேஞ்ச் பண்ணணும் தேவையில்லை. You can start off wherever you are. Okay, build a better understanding, okay, of things. Have a bigger picture about life in general. In the next 5 years, okay, you'll be still single, still sort of very responsible only for you and your immediate family. So this is the time you can experiment a little bit here and there. Okay, of course, like I won't say rightly, but as I told you right in the beginning, to your parents, you're still a child. They will treat you like a child a little bit. Okay, but never doubt their intention. Their intentions will always be good for you. உங்களை நீங்க நல்லா இருக்கணும்ன்றது அவங்களோட இன்டென்ட்டா இருக்கலாம். ஓகே, பட் அவங்களோட எக்ஸ்பீரியன்ஸ் லெவலுக்கு பொறுத்த மாதிரி தான் அவங்க உங்களுக்கு அட்வைஸ் கொடுப்பாங்க. சம் might be right, some may not be right. பட் அந்த டைம்ல நீங்க வந்து as an adult, if you sit down and talk to them, இதெல்லாம் கொஞ்சம் ஷேர் பண்ணீங்கன்னா, I think they will also feel, oh, என் பொண்ணு is no longer that young girl that I used to know. You know, she's actually ஒரு engineer amma. Okay, or engineer thambi. So you know, I think they'll slowly start respecting you. Okay, the biggest challenge we all have, it comes in a book called Information Rules. Adiyum Google panni paarenga. It says there is a wealth of information. We're living in a time where there's a wealth of information. Edha venal neenga Google pannalam. Okay, but the challenge is the poverty of attention. That means the time illa namakku edha focus pandradhunu solta apdi ipdi na ala paanjine irukradhanaala I think that's a challenge. Okay, don't worry. Okay, one misstep, 2 missteps is part of life, no? Okay, apdi paathumna na andha maadhiri enna measure panina life la I think I have probably done too many multiple missteps only, but you know, my friends have been good to me, my friends have helped me, and these are all things you're going to see very soon in life. Okay, all your classmates and friends that you have made now, acquaintances you have made now, because of technology, you'll all be in touch with them forever. All of these people are going to come back to you and help you. And you could also reach out to one another and help each other. Okay, so take it easy. You still have some more time. Actually, you have a lot of time. This is just to serve you as an inspiration. This is not the be all and end all. Nalaki, you will listen from Engineer Purushothaman. Day after tomorrow, you will listen to Dr. Chokalingam. Friday, you listen to Dr. Pauline. People who have taken different paths in their life, but who are all united by the fact that we are Annamalayans and who all help one another. And நாளைக்கு நீங்க யாரை வேணா போய் இதை அப்ரோச் பண்ணி நீங்க அண்ணாமலை ஸ்டூடெண்ட்னு சொன்னீங்கன்னா, they will immediately start looking at you with a little bit of affection. Okay, and they'll whatever they can do legally, morally, they will do for you. Okay, so you have a whole generation, multiple generation of alumni out there. But please be ready to put in some hard work, put in some commitment. Whatever you take up, you do with best commitment. Okay. Okay, Kalish, time patti. Nida moderator. So next.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It was a nice lecture for us. It was an eye-opening for us that we can also look for the social job sector as well as also. So now I request our dean to address, please, sir.
Thank you.
The opportunity. So once again, I thank Mr. Narayan Sreenivas for the wonderful, inspiring talk he has given, and he has really motivated the young minds, I hope. And so here, see, we have to serve, as he told, you should learn to serve before you should learn to lead. So you have to learn to serve, and you need not take it as an advice, or you can take it as a request, humble request to the young minds. So I used to tell my students, you take a bicycle, right? And just go to the Veeranam tank and enjoy the water surface, right? Now it is full. Now this year it is filled, I think 2 or 3 times. The excess water was drained. We are wasting a lot of water also. So you should go there and see the landscape of Veeranam. So every day you should take a bicycle and bicycle some 10-20 kilometers with your friends and explore the things, the people, the community, what is the status of their living. So all these things must be explored and what you can contribute. See, you will be a civil engineer or an electrical engineer, right, or a chemical engineer. So even related to your subject, in what way you can offer to them, serve them. And whatever gala expenditure you make, right? And of course, many students, particularly now studying in a university, are socially and economically downtrodden. And those who can afford to spend a lot, so don't spend in a gala way, right? For example, I see students putting a bike in the junction, in a road junction inside the campus, and then in the evening they will bring a cake from casino or whatever it is. So some 2 kilo or 3 kilo cake, and then they will celebrate the birthday there. So I do not find it as a fault, but at the same time, whether that can be given to for useful purposes, right? There are many people who do not get even a single time food in. If you just go through the walk around, you should not go in a bike or a car. You should walk around or go in a bicycle. You can see a lot of things. So there are many people. So at least if you can afford, you can even feed one, right? There are many old people who are just left like that by their wards, particularly in the countryside. You can see in the rural side, you can see a lot of persons, right? Old persons, old men and women in the stranded in the streets of the town, just begging because they are not taken care of by their wards. So there are many social happenings which have made our hearts to break. So you should go around, see, and then help others, right? Serve others. Then you will learn a lot, and also you will come up in life definitely. So when you are giving in the form of service, no need of money, as Mr. Sreenivas pointed out. So you can serve them better. Use your knowledge, use your skills, engineering skills, and in whatever small fashion you can help them, you can help them. With that, I think I will not take much of the time. And one more request, that is, initially I could join because of 2 or 3 meetings. I could join only at 12:10 or so. The number of participants, I could see it was 59. Now it has come down to 39. It is reducing. So it should not be there. It should not be like an efficiency curve. It should be like a curve which rises and then goes asymptotically, right? Parallel to the x-axis, right? So it should stay. So when the program ends, the participants should be maximum. That is my humble request. So it is for students like Kalis, who is moderating now, to take this message and bring more number of students so that they get benefited. So with this, I thank Mr. Mahendra Kumar, Mr. Gopi, and all, Mr. Sreenivas, and all the 92 alumni of engineering faculty for the month-long program they are organizing. So thank you very much.